Okay.
So shall we go?
Yep.
Okay. So hi guys, Pranshu here. So if you have been in my previous sessions or know the kind of sessions I usually take, they are sort of underrepresented in the sense that people don't focus on them as much, but they're also very important in today's world. Also, Sushma ma'am, can you mute yourself, please? I think
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's okay. So the idea of this session is that we consume so much information today, and we hear these terms of fake news, disinformation, misinformation, but we don't really sometimes appreciate, or we don't really know what it might mean, what it can do. You will hear things like, oh, it matters so much, oh, this is such a big deal. But you need both a broad perspective also and sort of going deep into one particular thing so that you really get the feel of it. So that's the purpose of today's session. So I've titled it as news research. So the idea is that let's say you have to write a news research through blogging. So you have to write a blog post about a topic, right? So for that topic, if you're researching, what things can you keep in mind when you're talking to people or just following the news? How to not be trapped in the common mistakes, or be careful with it. So that's the basic idea. So I have a slide, and apart from that, I also have like we'll be doing exercises throughout, and it will be more exercises focused. So there'll be less text as such. But through that, you will see how we can learn, right, about this topic. And so, like I said, broad and focused. So we have the broad aspect also in the first half of the session, and then we'll deep dive for a focused aspect in the second half of the session. All right. So I'll okay. Can you enable screen sharing, Sam? It is disabled for now.
Try now.
Yeah. So yeah. So am I audible well, and is it visible?
Yeah. All good.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So we'll start here. So you have seen the problems related to Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, and the question of if there can ever be again a democratic election, because if there is so much that the news media and the like politicians can do and affect people indirectly through ads or stuff like that, and there's politics. What decisions do you make in general life, and the views about politics, what is really going on, what is right for your uh, country and all of that, and even on a like global scale. So clearly there is no like lack of reasons why this topic is important, right? And on top of the fact how much information there is, so you do need something to help you with this, right? Otherwise you will never know what is the noise and what's the true signal. So so the what we'll focus on today is things related to Tesla. So I'll tell you just very shortly my background. So Tesla Daily is one of the leading news outlets related to Tesla, right? So Tesla is a very large following in terms of media, and a lot, like there are hundreds of podcasts or independent companies, or just that they just focus on Elon Musk or just Tesla, right? So this is one of the better ones and the most popular ones. It has currently 35,000 subscribers on YouTube. So since around 2-3 weeks, I'm working with him. So he needed someone to take the podcast into the text sort of domain also. So he had just audio, he has just video, but he didn't have text. So it's a long story, but I end up working with him now, and so of course I had to prove that I knew what I was talking about. So I have been you know looking at this stuff like Elon Musk related stuff, and it's basically mostly Tesla for about an hour for 3 years now. It's just interesting, and a lot of things that I gain from it, because when you go deep into something, then you see a lot of aspects. So it's just one of those things that really helped me in really get pinning down the problems when it comes to fake news and everything, right? And now with this, and the aim of Tesla Daily is precisely that what is the aim of this session is to remove the problems related to fake news, misinformation, and to provide people with exact true information, or just a way to think about things, or Tesla in this case straight. So again, disclaimer is that we'll be having some ideas and practices. There's some facts and tools. So we can't change facts. We can't change certain tools or stuff like that. So I'll be sharing some of those tools and facts, playlists and everything on ideas and practices. Just do it. We'll talk about it, right? So the description of today's session is fake news, misinformation, disinformation. They're daunting, troubling, and often consequential. So there's a lot out there to be searched, to be filtered, to be digested and assimilated. So what do you trust? How do you trust? How much do you trust? So these are the questions that we need to generally address. Okay, right? So what do we see when you're looking for if something is trustworthy, how to include in our research, right? And the overarching purpose is how to become an independent thinker, right? And of course, like a true, we reach true conclusions. So there's some disclaimers. So out of scopes are things like cognitive biases or decision making skills. So so here we're talking about news and consuming it and consuming information. So that in itself is a very big problem. Now let's say you have your own biases and everything which further affect your decision. So you hear the same news. In one case you are in a good mood, one case in your bad mood, so it affects you, right? So we are not going into all of that personal stuff that is related to you, internal. We're just focusing on more on external. And also when you focus on Tesla, we're just focusing on it with like whatever is bare necessity to look at one part and one particular thing related to Tesla. So when I say deep dive, it is Tesla, but it is a deep dive within that, right? You will know what as you go ahead. And there's some common issues, and the problem are they have two sides which are of the same coin. So one is reading between the lines. It can be a good thing also and a bad thing also that you read between the lines depending on the situation. Then generally a common issue is that even if you talk about something with like with an expert, or you are reading an article, a lot of time you miss the jargon, or you will not have the technical knowledge. Let's say you're reading an economics time article on the way the RBI is doing stuff, so you will not know it technically, right? So it makes you it is very problematic then to absorb media and news then, right? And the last is just tough to see under the hood motives, so they can be both positive and negative, right? So maybe some has motives that are positive, they just look bad on the face, but some have just negative motives and they're trying to look good, which is often the case with politicians. So these are some of the common issues, these again which are sort of aware, we are generally aware, and stuff like that. So we'll not focus on them more, right? But we'll focus on more neglected parts. So before we move, we should at least know what the definition is, accepted definitions of these terms. So I've just copied them from the internet and Wikipedia, right? So disinformation is false or misleading information that is spread deliberately to deceive. Okay. This is a subset of misinformation. So disinformation is a part of misinformation. So misinformation can also be unintentional, right? So Operation If Infection was a Soviet disinformation campaign to influence opinion that the US invented AIDS. And if you read about this, you will absolutely be shocked at the efficacy and the tools and the techniques they've used and the history of it. Even without the internet and all of that, this was a very old thing, right? 30 years ago. So misinformation is false or inaccurate. So it can be intentional or unintentional, and examples include false rumors or insults and pranks. While more deliberate, disinformation includes malicious content such as hoaxes, spear phishing, and computational propaganda. So computational propaganda, you don't need to worry about these terms so much. It's basically like calculated stuff that you do in order to create some effect. Spear phishing is basically trapping someone. Spear phishing is like really knowing about everything about them and just laying a very good trap and trying to fish information or something like that and using it against them. Then fake news, also known as junk news, pseudo news, alternative facts, or hoax news, is a form of news consisting of deliberate disinformation or hoaxes spread via traditional news media or online social media, right? So are the broad categories, and this is more related to news. This is information in general. So any questions till now before we move on to our exercise? So we will now be moving on to our exercise, and what I need you guys to do is be sort of participative. And what I'll do is I'll go through 10 sort of examples, right, of things. And the common thing is that you will see that something is obviously wrong here. Okay, that this doesn't make sense, what I'm saying. And you have to point out what, we have to figure out what it is that it is wrong. You have to put a label on it. Okay, what went wrong? So it feels wrong, but what is actually wrong? So I'll start. You'll know what this means. So I'll just start quickly. So one example is so this definition of intelligence that I brought up a few times is that how can you keep two things in your mind at the same time, but still two opposing things, but still retain the ability to function well. So I will tell you something, right, and then you tell me which one you agree with more. So meetings on Zoom versus meetings in offices, which are more productive? That is the topic, right? So people say on one hand that casually walking into rooms and having the ability to chat creates friction, reduces friction of scheduling an appointment on Zoom and everything, and increases efficiency and productivity. Okay, so do you find anything wrong with this, or do you have any other opinion? Because in context of the definition of intelligence, so what I'm saying is, in physical offices, people can just walk into each other's rooms and they don't need to schedule an appointment and everything. So there's less friction, so productivity is higher. So do you agree with this, or do you have an opposing idea?
Well, so if I'm the person who's walking in because I have something to be done, so my productivity increases. Whereas if you are working on something, I'm disturbing your flow, so your productivity reduces.
Yeah. And it can also mean that people just do. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, sorry, I was actually clearing my throat.
Yeah.
You are walking into someone's space who's already
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
The productivity is certainly, because it will take him some time to get out from what he's thinking to
Yeah.
come into a level to discuss with you. And it's
Yeah.
just not accepted because mental frame.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
second thing is, and when you are talking at office level, are there people with responsibilities? So I don't agree with you to this.
Yeah. So what happened was that so if you guys have heard about the WeWork thing where it rents office spaces, so there's a lot of problems. The new CEO came in, so he went on CNBC. So there's this question of, so now with this Corona thing, what do you think about productivity and Zooms? And so what he was doing was he was using one side of the coin and making WeWork look good and talking for his company. So what he was saying that how it is, people love coming to offices and their productivity is higher there because it reduces friction of appointment and everything, which I talked about, right? So you see how using one, so the problem here was that someone can use just one side of the coin and sort of, they're not looking at things on both sides. And you have to then figure out what is the wrong here and what is the other side of the coin. So now that's we had got you warmed up, let's move on. So there is this study and it shows that couples who fight more than 11 times, uh, so the number of days between fights on average in a couple, so those couples who reported more than one fight every 5 days or less than one fight every 11 days, right? So like every fight is within 5 days, right? Or who reported that it is rare. So it is like it takes more than 11 days for a fight, 11 days or more. Those couples don't last statistically. So statistically, yeah.
Are you sharing your screen?
No, I'm not.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So basically, the idea is that it found that the couples who fight on average between every fight happens between 5 and 11 days a week stay together. So then a person hears that, and what they do is they try to deliberately fight with their sort of partner and try to maintain the average between 5 and 11. So what is the problem here? Something is obviously wrong, but if you have to label it, what will be the problem here? Can someone say? And also, Sam, your is not mute. My sort of system is not mute. So, can someone tell me what would you call this problem as? That you read this, and then what you go decide and do is that you will have deliberate fights. Come on, guys.
Your deliberate fights just for fighting.
Yeah.
You know, your ultimate what you said is that those that fight for 11 times, they last. Am I right?
No. Basically, it's like those who fight too rarely or too frequently don't last. So rarely is that that the fights happen in more than 11 days, and very frequent fights are that fight. There's more than one fight every 5 days,
So
right?
they last. They last.
No, they don't last. But the people who have the average, so like if you have a fight, it will be between 5 and 11 days. So every 5 to 11 days, you will have one fight. Yeah.
Okay.
No, so Josephine, what I'm saying is those who fight rarely or very frequently were found to not have lasted. Those who fight sort of in the middle ground, like not very frequently and not very rarely, were found to be lasted. So someone hears that, and what they do is deliberately try to uh, time their fights between 5 and 11 days on average.
Pranshu, it's a relationship. It is not fighting. You can't put numbers to it, because a relationship is after the fight, if you reconcile, then only it will go forward. So that is not there. You're just looking for numbers to fight. So that you prove that your equation is right.
So the idea is that you take the facts or something on face value, right? So that's the main issue. You take something on face value and then you go with it. So instead of understanding the context, you just take it on face value, right? Then there is this thing. So I'm a guard, okay, and I couldn't prevent a robbery one night. So so you decide to fire me. So this is so again, but I have been with you for 20 years or something. So if someone wants to tell me what would you say went wrong here, or like one robbery do you think is grounds for this, and if not, then what would you say is wrong?
I would say that maybe he has prevented more than 20 robberies, and the fact that just one went through means that he's still efficient.
Yeah. So this can be called as separating the forest from the trees. So you could have some like bad trees but a good forest, and people might miss that, right? Then another is that, so there is these quotes that suffering, and they are both in Buddhism, okay? So all suffering comes from desire. Okay, so all suffering comes from desire, and all greatness, and it also says that all greatness can only come from suffering. So someone takes that and then says, then so that means all desire is the cause of greatness. So what is wrong here? So like suffering comes from desire, Buddhism says, and it also says all greatness results from suffering. So you cannot be great unless you have suffered to become great. So someone reads these two things and they say, oh, so desire causes all greatness.
No, that's no logic. You have to go through the intermediate of suffering, of experiencing and coming out of it. And that whole experience of coming out of it is what makes you an achiever. And I think Buddhism philosophy or the underlying principle, that is of, I think so.
Yeah.
I would add that it's not because two cause-effect relationships that they automatically add, because there is like this trick saying, okay, if like having a cheap horse or finding a cheap horse is something quite rare, but you know that everything that is rare is expensive. So finding a cheap horse is expensive.
Right. So this is basically that you equate things. So you say A is B and B is C, so A is C. So it's not maths. So you cannot just do equations here, which is basically what you guys are saying. So then next is keeping, sorry. I'll not tell the answer first. So the thing is that there is one group that says diversification is for losers, because see, the idea of diversification in investing is what it is, that one industry or one company can fail. So if you put everything money there, then you can lose and there's higher risk. So keep it in different industries that will not all go down at the same time. They're unrelated and in unrelated companies. So that is the idea of diversification. Okay, so you have reduced this. But then there are people who say diversification is for losers, right? And then they fight because they say, if you're smart, why do you need diversification, right? So what do you think is happening here? So one group says diversification for losers, one group says you don't diversify, you are stupid.
Diversification is not putting all your eggs in the same basket. And that diversification, if it's done sensibly, you're not doing it just because you're a loser. It's that one company has come to a level and you're in a position that it is running, you diversify so that you can grow.
Yeah, but see, the opposite argument is that, let's say you are smart, so you figure out, see, if you diversify, then some will give you 5% return, 15% return, 20. So the average will be, let's say, 12%. Okay, projected average. But you have diversified, and there is low risk, you say. So I say, I'm smart enough. I know there is zero risk in this because it will not fail. That will give me 30% returns. So why will I stupidly put my money in different things and I'll get 12% on average, where here I can get 30% and I found it because I'm smart. So what happens here is we are talking over each other, right? We're not talking about the same thing, because your idea is also true, my idea is also true. So, right? So this is an example of what context can do and talking over each other. So okay, moving on. So there was this tweet where sort of a girl had written and tweeted and posted on social media that all men are trash, right? And then her father stopped her pocket money. So okay, so the pocket money part is not important. The important part is all men are trash. So what do you think is obviously wrong here? Okay, so I'll just say, so it's like, of course, there are obvious exceptions.
Nothing.
Yeah, so like there always be exceptions, right? So you have to keep that in mind. So both the people who are talking about these things like all men are trash, and the people who are giving one or two examples to counter a point. No, this person is not like that. So everything is fine with men. See, that guy is okay. So that is one thing. So moving on. So let's say there's a person who says, jokingly, that behind that men are heroes. So there is a feminazi in the room, and she says that, oh, behind every hero has a her in his name, right? So he says, well, for every her has a he in his name. So she gets mad. So here what is happening is that they're getting triggered, right? So they're jumping the gun, they're getting triggered. So last couple examples, last 2, 3, and you guys please participate. So there's a guy who is your friend, and he goes to the gym, and he goes and he picks up like 60 kilos and he starts doing squats. So you say, I also want to do that, and you go there and start copying him and you break your muscle. So what's the problem here? What happened?
You don't have the same training or the same body or the same experience.
Yeah, so you're blindly following
Absolutely.
someone.
And you can't do this. It's stupidity.
Yeah. So, but a lot of times on internet it happens that you just blindly follow someone, right? Or agree with their opinions, because that is the only opinion you have. So if you have only one friend who's doing this, let's say you have 100 friends who are at different levels. So then maybe you choose, oh, okay, which one is more closest to me? But a lot of times you have one opinion and you think it's the truth. Okay. So next thing is, so let's say I go on a date, and the girl sits down and she says, oh, I think we would make great babies, right? And then I say, oh, I think we would have great sex. And then she says, oh, how can you say that? That was the rule. I say, how come? But you are 9 months ahead of me. So already, so right. So So what's wrong here?
I'm not getting your examples, man.
I didn't understand
How is
this.
that relevant to the mental models to filter news or anything?
Yeah. The idea is that this thing these are obvious examples where you can see something is wrong. So the idea is to find the root. Can you get to the root of it, right? Because if you can identify them, this is like a basic level. Now I'll give an example of all of these in Tesla's context, right? But the idea
can
is,
you show that now, like with
I'll do it. I'll do it right now. Don't worry. Yeah. So this idea is just using too much logic. We're being too logical about things, right? And so last example would be, so let's say you're walking at night, it's 4 a.m. and then you see like a very shady, scary looking person coming on from the same side of the road. Okay. And let's say you're in America right now. So if you see a white person, so you just cross the road because that white person coming towards you, shady guy. But if you see a black person, you're like, if I cross the road now, I might be a racist, right? So you don't cross the road and you just keep walking. So here you are being in a corner. You're being pushed in a corner in the society terms or whatever your principles are doing that. But you don't need to do that. A shady guy is a shady guy. So these are some examples of, and these all translate, by the way. So I'll show you how, as what Anvesh pointed out. And it does take mental work from your side, guys. So it's because it's not supposed to be spoon feeding either. So that's why I've tried to make it in a way that you guys participate and then see certain things. So see, all these 10 points are listed here. So intelligence thing, that two different sides of the we have to keep in mind. Then in the last 100 years, there's no US car company who has been successful. There's been dozens who have failed. So one side, people who say Tesla can succeed are right, but then other who say that car companies it's so tough to start a car company. So Tesla will probably fail, and who have been paying, especially for the first 10 years of Tesla's history. They also had a point. It is very difficult to be successful in this business. Then the face value thing, you take something at face value. So till now, Tesla has been very rarely profitable. So it has lost money almost on all quarters. And its deliveries, number of cars delivered, is like less than 1/20th of the big boys. So General Motors and Ford and the Volkswagen, 1/20th, 1/30th. But its valuation is more than them. So Tesla's valuation is more than them, right? But and it has lost money till now. So who looks at it, he says, why is Tesla valued so much? Why is Tesla more valuable than GM, General Motors, who delivers 30 times more cars and is also profitable from a long time, right? Then there's separating the forest from the trees. So there's a whole fiasco where he tried to take Tesla private at 420, right? So it's a very famous story. Basically, the idea was that being in the public domain, there's a lot of scrutiny. And Tesla it's especially true with Tesla because of all the attention it has. But if you're running a company, it is a very problematic thing. It's because you're listed publicly. If you're a private company, then it's an easy thing because you don't have to tell everything to the public, right? You don't have to give everything data in your filings and all. But if you're a public company, then regulatory authorities say, see, public is investing, so give them all information. So then it's a lot of problem because people can take it in wrong ways and fake news and whatever. But then he did not do it in the end because he found that there are small people, also everyday people, who cannot convert their shares when it is going private. So he left it. So they are like, he keeps changing his mind. So the idea is separating the forest from the trees. So on the face of it, it looks like that he decided to take it private, but then they changed their mind. But that's not true, actually. There's things inside that story. Then there's equations versus ideas. So there's these quarterly numbers that happen every quarter that every company generally comes up with.
Pranchu, I didn't get the forest and trees one.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So the idea is that you see this thing where Elon is trying to take it private and then it doesn't happen, right? And then and he fails to do it. Actually, he decided also that it's not good and he tried to do it, then he found there are problems, right? So you say that he's not a good executive. He doesn't know how to make decisions, and it also led to some fines and penalties, right? So you just say that leadership was bad, so that you can see it as a like tree, a wrong kind of tree, right? But if you see the other decisions that he's taking and the whole sort of how many things he was taking care of while doing that, and for the long-term goal of doing that, of Tesla taking private, then that forest of advantages and good decisions was not visible. And it was not visible that what he was doing, he knew what he was doing, right? So that basically. I'm moving through them a little quicker because the idea is just to get you guys a position where you can have the feel of things and put you, and also have some, let's say, names and labels. So similarly, let's these quarterly numbers. You have these numbers where you say they missed the targets or they exceeded the target, things like that. But it doesn't matter because some quarters are coronavirus happened, it's bad, and then some quarters are seasonally weak for the auto industry. So you have to look at it for 2 or 3 years and then say, okay, so from compared to 2018 to 2020 was this good. But if you get into the nitty-gritty details and you get into equations, because you'll be like, okay, for last quarter this is down now, so next quarter it will also be down. No, that's not true. This quarter, because what you're doing is you're just you're treating it as an equation. So first quarter it was X, then it decreased, then X, then it again decreased, then X. So you just equate it to, okay, it will just keep decreasing. No, there could be other reasons. So then there's this context thing. So he put out a tweet called Free America Now, right? And coronavirus panic is dumb. So what he did was, so it's again a very complicated thing. If you know the whole context behind it, you can watch it on Joe Rogan and you will study it a little bit. But the idea behind his tweets was not wrong. Maybe you don't agree with the way that he said things because he called the panic dumb, which I agree is dumb. Some people might not. Panicking is dumb, but like being careful is not dumb. And he just said Free America Now, so he meant remove the lockdowns and everything. So people can say, why so irresponsible? How can you do that? Are human life not important to you? If you just remove the lockdown, people will die. You're just concerned about your business. But there's a lot of context behind it. So just shortly, all other auto companies were allowed to open, right? But Tesla was not being allowed that. Then in his own county, there were very few cases, and other industries were opening in where his factory was, right? Then there was an unelected woman who was taking the decision and who had just come for temporary time, and she just wanted a press or something, and so she was not allowing them to open their factories. And they're the only company had also done the closing and reopening with social distancing in China with the Shanghai factory. So they could have done it in the US. So he was doing all this because he actually knew that he was being careful of things. So there's a lot of other things, but it doesn't matter. Then the sixth thing is because if you go into it, you'll see the context. Then the sixth thing is, okay, of course there are obvious exceptions. So this is sometimes used online as a phrase. So you see that this Tesla caught fire. This Tesla caught fire. There's always a big news, right? So Teslas have caught fire on average like 3 or 4 a year, that too in the first few years. Now there's no news. But it was a big deal that, the battery technology is dangerous compared to diesel and petrol. But there are actually hundreds of times more fires in petrol and diesel and like other companies' cars. But they never make the news, right? And what happens in these cases is that like an intern is fired in Tesla and there's news. Like just giving an example, but like a CEO is fired in Volkswagen, but it's not news. So it's just, you have to look at it as the obvious exception. So there's fires happening and all, but you look at it as, okay, what happened in that case instead of just rolling with the news. Then there's this triggered thing. So Josh Wolf is a capital manager, right? Venture capitalist. And he's always like sort of very triggered on Twitter whenever it comes to Tesla, and he's very extremely negative. In fact, I've also had a not spat with him, but like a 4 or 5 tweet discussion about it. And he was not happy about the fact that I'm speaking for Elon. But I just thought that he gets too much triggered. So there's some people who just have this irrational negativity towards something, like in the case of feminazis. So when you're reading some article, then you have to sort of see where it is coming from, or we're taking an opinion of someone like him online. So even if he seems like a very sort of well-to-do and smart person, he can be wrong about certain things. Then there's blind following, where there's mobs on Twitter, which is the other extreme, who blindly follow in everything that Musk says, and everyone who gives a criticism, they just take his case on Twitter and abuse him and whatever, which is wrong. Then there's excess logic, which Wall Street estimates do. So what in Wall Street, if you have to estimate the earnings or whatever for a company, the pricing for a company, the problem that happens is that you have to give a very detailed number by number thing. You cannot just say, I have a feeling that this will happen, because you're doing a job. So you have to make a table, you have to give proper numbers, you have to back those numbers up with the reasoning. So so it's like saying that you see a very brilliant singer, or I don't know, like you just know that there's a person who will succeed. You have this feeling, but then someone asks you, okay, just prove it. So then you'll go into academics and his numbers, and then you find his industry and his skills, and you put a number. So they're just excessive logic. So that's why Wall Street is so wrong with its estimates of them, because they use excessive logic and numbers in everything, when the overall trend is very clear. Okay, like that person is a good singer. Why are you going into all these numbers? He will do it. He'll make it, right? I can see it. I have this feeling. So don't use excess logic. Then there's a thing of being in a corner, right? So in Q1 2020, so that was Q4 2020, 2019, which is October to December 2019. So they have this earnings call where they talk about the companies and the financials for that quarter, which happened in January of this year. Okay, so their company, the person asked them, so now you have share prices sort of high, so you can sell some of your shares and use that to raise money, so that Tesla has stronger balance sheet, it has more money in hand, so that there's lesser risk in case something bad happens. So that time Elon and others says, no, we don't want that. It doesn't make sense, because it will just dilute, and we don't need money. We are already going as fast as possible, so we don't need the excess money. But then 2 weeks later, they raised money, and then the coronavirus crash happened just a week after that, right? So they switched their strategy. So now people can, so the publications were pushing them to corner that they had lied publicly. They did have plans, no, but did have plans to raise money. No, they did not. They switched strategy, and it just happened in a very short amount of time. So let's say you are in that position where you told the world that you will not raise money, and it is not a good idea. Then you can be in a tough corner when you find out, no, that decision is actually wrong, and you might be reluctant to do it. So now this next exercise, and here again I need you guys to participate, and this exercise will be the most important today, because it will help you get a feel of this whole thing, where the context and what are the various levels of understanding and how much you know or don't know. You'll see what I mean. So the idea is that I'll start at a very simple and good and ideal level, and then we'll go back and forth in a cycle. So so what, I have 5 people, so it will be like tennis. So you say something, then I guess we give next level, then you give next level, then I give next level, like that. And I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so and after the exercise, you will know what the purpose for it was as you go through it. So don't think about it too much, just try to focus on what I'm saying, right? So I say the best possible case is that you knew the facts are true, and they're definitely true, like it's confirmed that they're true, and the facts are also widely accepted. So that's the ideal case. Then I move to the next level, right? A level that is a bit further away from the ideal case, and that is that there exist true facts and they're widely accepted, but I am ignorant. So the difference here, in the first case, ideal case, I know those facts also. In this case, I don't know these facts. So in ignorance, I did something, right? Or took a decision. Now, a more, so a lesser ideal level, a more complex situation is, I knew those facts, which were true and widely accepted, but didn't take care out of laziness, because I did not want to, or it was more convenient for me to ignore the facts. So I was not ignorant, right? So that is another problematic layer. Then we move ahead. So then there can be one person who knows the facts, they're true, and they're accepted, and he takes care of it also. So he's responsible with his knowledge, right? So now I'll start asking you guys. So the next, so now let's move to the next step. So now the facts are true, okay, but they are not widely accepted. So they are not widely accepted in society. The society generally thinks different, that it's different. It's not how the true facts are. So, but it is, so there are facts that are true that you can confirm are true, but it's just the societal perspective is different. So now you have to be an independent thinker. So you have to ignore the society's voice, and then you have to say, see, this is clearly true. I do not have to follow other people. I have to think independent. Right? So now the facts are true and they're not accepted. But now you're in a situation where not only think independently, right, against society, but we have to stick out our neck to fight for the cause, because otherwise we are in a problem. So you have to stick out our neck, right? So basically society doesn't accept something in one way. It has a different idea, but the truth is different, and you can know that it is different. So now, would any of you want to try what could be another variation that is more complex or tougher or farther away from the ideal case here? So we started with facts are true, and you know there's two facts exist, and we know the facts also, and they're accepted also. And then we removed the knowledge part. So now we are removing the widely accepted part from the ideal case, right? So okay, so I'll go. So but after that I want you guys to participate because it gets easier. Okay. So the next is facts are not true. Facts are true. They're not widely accepted. But not only do we have to stick out our neck for it, we are actually we have to actually create awareness for it also. So because if you don't create awareness, then there are problems. So not only we have to stand up for ourselves, but we also go the extra mile to make other people aware of it, right? Or it will be a problematic. So it's even tougher. So can someone tell me what the next thing could be? So just you know, there are three things. We remove two things. So what is the next ideal step? So I'll repeat. So facts are true, widely accepted, and we know them. So I removed the knowledge part. I removed the widely accepted part. So what's the next part? That can lead to complications. Come on, people, anyone? Okay, so
the facts are not true.
Yeah, exactly. So right now the things are a bit easier because the facts, there at least facts were true, and there existed true facts. But now the facts are not true, right? So, but it can be possible that facts are not true, and they're also widely accepted in the false manner, right? So we just go with the flow. We come to that, Anvesh. So like facts are not true and they are widely accepted, and so we choose to go with the flow. Then next level, we don't choose to go with the flow. We try to resist the flow and we fight it and we stand up for ourselves, right? And then facts are not true, and that is widely accepted. So we create awareness. So in the previous case, facts were true, but they were just not widely accepted, right? So we have to create awareness. Here, there is awareness about a wrong fact. So in previous case, there was no awareness, right? So like climate change, often there is no awareness. So you have to create awareness about it. Here, it is like climate change is a hoax, is the awareness existing. So you have to counter it. So it's even tougher, right? Then you can be like, you don't even know if there's not a way to know what you believe in. So like you might be very confused. So facts are not true, okay, and opposite, let's say opposite to truth, right? And society is divided, right? And you are also internally divided. So that's another complication. Then there can be the facts can be targeted lies. So not only is it wrong or alternative sort of news, it is like targeted lies that have been made by someone for their profiteering, or like Anvesh mentioned, alternative facts, so that the focus is shifted to something else, right? And these are very calculated. So now it can harm your image, and because those people had power, their truth is now popular, right? So you have to fight targeted lies which have personal self-image implications on you, right? So now we are still talking about things that were facts were not true, but then there can be problems where the facts are not true, but it is also very tough to find out what the truth is. So sometimes facts are not true, and like climate change, facts are not true, which is widely accepted that it's a hoax, and a lot of society is divided. But it's not very tough to find out. So if you go and look at research, you will find out very soon that climate change is real. But there can be some things like a little bit Tesla where it is so tough to find out what's real, right? Now, next level can be, it is assuming, all this is assuming that the people who are giving the facts, right, at least think that they know what they're doing. So let's say someone's giving a fact, it can be false or true, but they at least think that they're doing it right. So a scientist is thinking that they're doing the experiment the right way, or they have written a paper on climate change the right way. So they are thinking they're doing a good job, but they're not. They only don't know, right, that the process is faulty. So that's the next thing. The people only don't know that the facts that they're giving is true or not. So can someone tell me with the next level of problems, of problem or complexity? So here the people giving the facts only don't know. They just think they know what they're doing, but they actually don't. Anyone? So next level can be that they think they take support on whatever is generally accepted. Okay, yeah. So yeah. So what you're saying is that there exists this general idea, and their confirmation bias is there. So they just try to conform to it, and then they spit that out as facts only. So yeah. So it is actually, so yeah, that will come up later. Here we are just talking about that there was no news about anything in the world, and you are the originator of that news, right? So there can in the society exist an idea, but you are not focusing or taking ideas from someone else. For now, you're just creating your own facts. So the idea is you can know that you are doing it in the wrong way. Like
Pranshu, if you don't mind, I'm just getting confused. Like, what do you mean facts of your own? Like, tell me what is fact here? What are facts? Definition of facts.
Okay. So any numbers that you put, any declarations that you make. So you say we will do 2 degrees Celsius by the end of the century. So you're putting that out as a fact. That is my projection.
That is an inference, right?
No.
Based on the numbers, facts are like how it is growing with the pace, the rate which you find, and after that, if there's a consensus that this is how it is growing everywhere,
okay,
then you make an assumption that if it goes with this rate, then the temperature would be this by this decade.
Yeah. So this is a more expansive definition of fact. So what I mean by that is, see, one is opinion. Okay, so if a scientist has done work, they are not giving their opinion that it will increase by 2 degrees Celsius. They are saying that based on my research, this is the number that I came up with. So in that sense, it's a fact. So I'm not saying, so that's why I'm saying no. So what you're saying is true, that people make these assumptions and have these numbers that they inferences and they put out as facts. So that's what I meant. We started as a case where there true facts exist and you can confirm it. So here there's no way to confirm today if 100 years later what will happen. But still that person, when you read the news, it will come out as a factual news with numbers and everything, right? It will not come out as opinion. So that's what I mean by fact here. So and like I said, there are different levels of fact which you're pointing out. One is true facts. One is you just assume something and done it. One is, so that I think different levels, right? So I'll not harp on it too much. So the idea is that till here, and what I mean by originator of a fact is, let's say you are not relying on someone else's knowledge, and so I can say that I study 5 people's work on climate change and then I make my paper. No, I'm not relying on anyone else's study. I am making my own 6th independent study. That's the point. So you are an independent originator of a fact or whatever, opinion or whatever, right? But the problem here can be, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know I am wrong, what my process is wrong. And next level can be, right, like I know that my process is wrong, right? But I'm not willing to correct it because I'm already so ahead. So I'll just do the lazy thing and I'll just finish this and put that out as fact in my research paper, right? So now we are not even talking about false memories and biases in brain and all those things that I said are out of the scope of today's discussions, right? So now next level can be, I am Shell, which happened, like, you know, a lot of these like tobacco companies, these oil companies fought this claim that climate change is real by funding research studies. So now I want work. So Shell is giving me work. So I will just publish what they want me to publish, and I'll change my research in a way that it is purposely helpful to their cause, and I'm spreading wrong information. Then it's like you know, then you are in a different then other complexity level can be, you are in a position with your boss where you have to look good in his books, so you are going against your principles. Then it can be just a company as a culture. Then can be just sort of company's culture. Then can be just culture with a society that you live in. Like 60 years ago, racism was a culturally accepted thing. There were separate water fountains for black and white people. So let's say you have a black friend at that time, for that is only very tough, but you want them to drink from your fountain only. You have to go against your whole culture and all the other people that will, you know, say, how can you allow this? He's a black, he has a separate water fountain to drink, why is he coming here? Like, how can you do that? So these so many complications that which you can term as incentives. And then what Josephine pointed out, there can be, right, like, we are not even the originator. We are consuming this knowledge from someone else. So we are translating it in a bad way. So let's say what I do is, I'll say I have 10 research papers on climate change. I'll come out with what they are saying on average. So one will be like it is real, one will be like it is very real, one will be like it is false. So what are those 10 saying? So when I'm taking the average of the 10, then I can make mistakes in my process, and I'm relying on someone else's opinion. So I can mistranslate the words that are written. So do you see how many layers of complexities there are and the different things? So I hope you got the feel. So just think about it. If you, an easy case is where there's facts that you can confirm them. Like Anvay said, so you cannot confirm climate change 100 years from now today. You have to wait 100 years, right? But you can confirm that climate change is real today. You can confirm that, but not exactly how much it will be in 100 years. So an easy case is you can confirm something today, and everyone accepts that, and you also know about that information is available, and then you act on it, right? So, and then there's these so many complexities. So now you think about all the media and article and your own opinions and your own thoughts, and you'll get the feel of how tough it is to be really have an independent and true opinion, right? And then how tough it is in a society to have them, and how troubling it can be, right? So here we are also assuming that there is, like, sort of, let's say few sources or few viewpoints. But like with the CA and RC, there were so many different viewpoints, so many different sources of information. So it's not even like Republican and Democrats have two views on climate change. Like it can be like, let's say there are 10 political parties, everyone has their own agenda, and you have to fit climate change inside that. So that is the reality that we live in. and the reality that is base reality, the truth and whatever, like it is so far away that I hope, do you guys get the feel of the complexities involved? Because that was the purpose of this exercise. But then this is the most important thing you can take away from this session, because if you have that feel, right, then you can sort of see how tough it can be. And the idea is that these are these different levels of how far you are going from an ideal easy case, benign case, to tough cases with perverse incentives, multiple sources, you are being lazy, your company is wrong, like, and society is accepting the wrong things. The more closer you can zoom in to what level you are in among all these levels, the closer you can at least decide that, okay, this is what I know, and this is what I don't know. So that to find out all of that, right? So did you guys get a feel of it? It's not very scientific, like you can put out these in a very like computerized way of this levels. You can do that, but this was just to get you guys the feel. So would you say you got a feel of what I was trying to say, and the idea that you have to zoom in on what level you are in terms of cultural acceptance and incentives and your own knowledge and complexity of topic, to really then decide how much you don't know? Any comments? I know it's really, like, it's complicated, but that's the point. Any comment here? Or any thumbs up or something? Yeah, Anvesh.
So, okay, I have heard you, like, all whatever you're, like, then I try to make sense of whatever limited knowledge I have and tools I have to process it. So I see, so climate change is real. So that is a statement somebody made.
Yeah.
Some people believe it, some people don't believe it.
Yeah.
So a person wants to prove it, like whatever side they take. So they bring out their evidence.
Yeah.
Now we have to evaluate what evidence has merit, what evidence doesn't have merit.
Yeah.
So it is complex. So here, that scientist might say by this time, the temperature would go this. He might be wrong about that statement.
Yeah.
But there is a trend. There is a trend.
But he will also say that this is the case when things continue without any measures. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So you say that. Yeah.
So even if you read any academic paper, they won't claim that this is like sun rises in the east. They don't make such statements.
Yeah.
This, if this goes like that, then this would happen unless something else happens.
Yeah.
But you cannot put that entire thing in news or any other medium, because
no. What are you saying? I'm not saying you cannot put or not. What I'm saying, Anvesh, is that it is put in the news. I'm saying a study like that happens, a big study. Then the news title that you will read is scientists predict 4-year increase, 4-year degree Celsius increase by end of the century.
Yeah, I understand. My question is, the whole like 2-3 pages, whatever that is, they cannot summarize into one sentence, and that might misfire and misinform a lot of people.
Yeah. See, you are saying the same thing that I am saying.
I'm just checking again. So if I'm the word, it's correct or not.
Yeah. Now, but I'm saying take a different perspective. I'm saying don't take the perspective of the author or author of the article. I'm saying take the perspective. The base reality is that these things happen. That the news headline that you will read is that. So I'm saying for a given news headline or something you read or opinion you hear, the way you can help yourself is to look at what are the factors involved. So when you read that article, you see, oh, so was an oil company involved in this study? Were there perverse incentives? Was this a peer-reviewed studies? So your cultural acceptance, how your country is there, politics is there. What are your views, and were their process scientific? So the idea is, the examples that I've given, whatever you read, you apply those, you view it from those different lenses in terms of society, awareness, complexity, and then you find out, okay, how far can I trust this? How far from the truth this article is, right? So I'm coming from that reader's perspective.
I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
So for example, all the studies which I found which are against climate study, like climate change, are funded by Koch brothers. Okay. and they have that belief, and all those think tanks which he funds, they say the same thing.
Yeah. So the idea is that it might, but here you can find that those fundings are by fundings are by that. But what actually happens is that they have some different companies and they outsource the research to them. So a shell companies. So I'm just saying, in this case, it becomes impossible to find out that the Koch brothers only funded it, right? But I'm just saying that another thing. So there can be various cases, right? Do you got my point? What I'm saying? Like, it can be even more complex. So you're saying you can find out. I'm saying some studies you can never find out only that the oil companies have funded it. So what do you do then?
Yeah, but yeah, like you cannot keep on walking, right? At some point you have to take something and believe it, right?
Yeah, but the idea is often you cannot keep on walking, but often you can at least know where you stand. So you can at least put a limit on, oh, I will trust this only this much because I cannot find all of the rest. So that is only possible if, so let's say there are 10 things that you want to check. So you can only say, I am convinced 3 on 10 because 3 things check out, 7 I have no way of finding, or 7 are suspicious. But if you never know or look at the article from those 10 things, then you will never even know what your degree of confidence should be. So the purpose of this exercise was to give you an idea of the different lenses to look through things, so that you can at least know to a degree of confidence where, okay, this I can trust it to this point, the rest I don't know. You know, so it might not be possible, but that's the thing. You'll decide, I cannot decide on this factor, so these 2 points I'll not trust, so I'll not give it those 2 scores, I'll not give this article, right? So that's the idea, to just, when you're reading something, to have a clue of what is your confidence in trust and what your confidence should be.
Pranshu, I want to say is 7 things you said is wrong of a fact. You read an article and out of that 7 is wrong. You are saying 3 is right. You cannot trust such a thing.
No. I'm not saying you find out that it's wrong. I'm saying for 7 things, you either have no way of finding out, or
even if, see,
or you know now, it is wrong. So both things are included.
See, Pranshu, now if at this, let's take this COVID thing. Look at the way the facts have been told, the facts are not being told. And over in the 1 month, right from China, right from the, but by now you have got your intellectual level, whom to trust, whom not to trust. There is certain things which you logically you come to whom to trust, whom not to trust. You don't trust everybody's everything.
Yeah. So that's the point. So the logic you're talking about, what are the components of that logic?
The components of the logic is that sensibility, which you have intellectual, which you have got over your years of experience.
Yes.
Whatever, how much you've read, how much you've read. Even if you have read, today I'm telling you, I just, first, a simple thing, I'm from Kerala. Coconut oil was supposed to be very bad for the heart, and because America did a research on that and said cholesterol and everything, okay? And it was that same today. Now what has happened, it is known that pharmaceutical companies are just playing on words and numbers and figures, confusing facts of actual effect on the health of the person. Which COVID, there was beautiful forwarded articles or scientists saying what is the real problem. I mean, by now, if you have had the intellectual, now I'm coming to your point, you as an individual have read over the period of time, you are capable. You should be capable, if you're an intelligent person, to know what is right and wrong.
No, ma'am. So actually, no, that's not true at all. And that's my point here, that you can be the smartest. Yes, ma'am. Because I'll tell you what I mean by this. So I'm saying, what you're saying is, if your intellectual ability is something, right? So you can be a very smart person. But if I give you the wrong facts, you will come to the wrong conclusion. Or if the process that you're following is wrong, your conclusion will be wrong.
Pranshu, you'll do it. Pranshu, you'll do it once. You'll do it twice. Third time, I'll never believe you. And I'll never believe you. And if I'm an intelligent person, I'll be keeping a track. I will be reading a lot of articles. It's not that only you.
Yes.
So therefore, I know not to trust you. not to trust you.
Yeah. So and what you're doing is you're finding out, okay, the background thing, what is happening, and is the past experience with that person. So these are two examples of things that you have to keep in mind. In the past, how that publication has been, and do they have some background motives? So that's what so the examples I've given you, ma'am, the idea is that if you're a smart person, then you can look at 10, what are the different factors that you should look at. So you're saying one is track record.
Pranshu, smart and intelligence are two different things.
Yeah.
Smart is making a right also, wrong is smartness. That is today. No, intelligent is to know what is really right. For example, this climate change. Many years ago, there was a conference where everybody, and that time America just didn't allow things to happen. Today, what is happening?
Yes, ma'am. So what I'm saying is, again, I'm saying the same thing that you're saying. You're saying an intelligent person who knows, who can really see the things, should be able to figure out what the truth is. I'm just saying, to get to the truth, there are different levels and different problems that you have to see, and different lenses you have to look at things through. Only then can you really know what is true and not. So the awareness of those lenses and complexities, if you're aware of them, then if you're reading something, you can at least know, see, out of these 10-15 things, I can only confirm 3-4. The rest are either wrong or I cannot confirm. So my degree of confidence will be like 4 on 15, right? So the idea is for an intelligent person to reach to the truth. What are the different hurdles that they have to keep, or the different things they have to keep track of. And so this exercise, the idea was just the example to show you like the different incentives you can have, the cultural aspect. And I think also we should move on if that's okay, ma'am. But do you get my point what I'm saying? For an intelligent person also, it's not easy. That's the point here.
Yeah. I don't agree to your smartness. I say an intelligent person. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, all right. So we'll move ahead now. So the stacks against Tesla, and in terms of what you have talked about, is right. There's this big oil. So the big oil companies. They don't want these electric cars to succeed, because then who will buy their fuel, like oil and all? The demand will decrease. Big auto, they are invested in diesel engines and all. They don't want electric cars because they'll have to close down all factories and invest in new electric factories. Then this is a tough business in itself. Car business needs capital. It's not like software company where you make one product and then you give to all users, you share the app for free. You need capital and everything. So what that results is that you can scale fast or be a better business. So let's say you are a capital intensive business like a car company, right? You're starting off. If you expand your service centers or factories and all, then you will, of course, you will burn money, for the factories. But then you will not be a profitable business, because let's say you earn some money from sales, all that money you put into new factories. So it will look like you are in a loss. So you can either grow fast or you can be a better business, like good profits and all. So again, that's against Tesla. Then Elon Musk in his ways is divisive. So he makes strong statements, and the way he operates things, some people question him a lot, and he's that kind of person. And so leadership is a very important factor. Then society is not educated about electric cars and the need for the mission. So with climate change, there's a lot of debate. And with electric cars also, in the past, the technology was not there. So people have this idea electric cars are inferior. But now the technology is there where they can be superior in every way. But the people are just not aware. They just think, no. Like, what electric cars? No. Like, they're so bad. Diesel and all has been going on for 100 years. Petrol cars are much better. Then there's news media incentives. So people click on negative headlines much quicker. So news media, if they have a headline, they'll focus on negative more, right? Or they'll twist it. Then it is politically divisive, because these companies, when they set up businesses, right, new companies, there will be tax breaks given. Okay, so set up this factory, bring jobs to my state, I'll give you some tax breaks. So people say, why giving them tax breaks? Why not decrease the tax for the general person, general average population? Why are these big corporations getting all of that? Then there's economically divisive. Why this company is losing all this money and profitability is not there? We have these old companies. So those all employees should be hired by GM, and they should go to GM only, no, and they should acquire this Tesla. Why Tesla should be an independent company? Because they're creating loss for the economy. So the economically divisive. Then there's levels of complexity. So Tesla is a very, like, it's a business, very big business, a lot of complexity here. So Dunning-Kruger effect, what it states is that as things become more complex, the tougher it is to know how confident you can be in your opinions, right? So we talked about how there's so many different of levels of complexities. There can be different viewpoints, different lenses. You have to check things, and Tesla has them all. Very complex topic. Then there's Tesla mobs that they sometimes do say very bad things to people online, and they just follow Elon Musk blindly. So the opposition says, see, these Tesla fans and all, they don't have any room for criticism and all. So they use ammo against them. They're saying, see, that is how Tesla and their fans are. They do things just in a single track of mind. So they use that as ammo. So that is also again stacked against Tesla as their brand. Then Tesla doesn't advertise, right? So it believes that you don't need money. You shouldn't spend money on advertising billions of dollars and all. Spend it on the product. If the product is good, it will speak for itself. But that is also downsides, because then it's like other companies, other car companies, just spread their ads, and people are aware about them, and they even spread wrong information. The big oil companies or whatever. Then if Tesla doesn't do it, then it's stacked against it. The strategy is only against them in some ways. Then there are shorts. So shorts are people who are against the. So if the stock goes up, they will earn money. So generally what happens is people buy shares, share price goes up, you earn money. So shorts is basically people who have bet against the company. So if the shorts are going down, company fails, they earn money. So what they do is they have these perverse incentives that distort facts, and they try to push their agendas. And the short interest of Tesla, it's crazy in terms of the dollar value, was largest in US in January and February 2020, right? And just always in top 2 or 3. The crazy thing is that every company has a short percentage. So let's say out of 100 shares, how many shares are with people who are betting against the company? So that will be short interest. So let's say out of 100 shares, 2 shares are betted against the company. So the short interest will be 2%. Okay. So most companies have less than 1%, 2%, something, or less than that. Amazon, Google, big companies. So Amazon is $1,000 billion company, right? 2% will be $20 billion, right? If 2% is there, but it is very less. It is like 3 billion. So it is like less than 1%, less than 0.5% only. Tesla is 14% of its market, of its value. 14% is shorted. So think about it. Apple is like $1 trillion company, but the shorted stocks of Apple are only worth 10 billion. But for Tesla, it is only worth 150 billion, but the shorted stocks are worth 15 billion, right? So there's so many. So it's the largest shorted stock by dollar terms and also in percentage terms. So this factors matters a lot. And in recently, this topic is also just like 10 days ago, Tesla became the most valuable automaker in the world at $183 billion. Now read this. Toyota is 176, Volkswagen 84, Daimler 44, BMW 42, General Motors 40 billion, Ford 26 billion. So just to give you an idea, General Motors, Ford and Volkswagen, these 3 companies sell the most cars in the world, like top 3 sellers. And Tesla is more than all of them combined and then some, right? In fact, it is like the bottom 6 combined. So if you look in terms of sales, the number of cars or the revenue that Tesla has, right, compared to these 5, 6, it is less than 1 by 200. But it is valued all of them combined. So like if you combine all the car sales from these, they are more than 200 times what Tesla is selling, right? So people say it doesn't make sense. So now the question is, how come it is valued so much? And then there are people saying it actually should be valued much more than this. 183 billion is also very less, right? Then the other side, people are saying, how come? But like these companies sell 200 times more cars, their combined valuation is lower than Tesla, right? So now within that lens, you have to dive a little bit deep and to make sense of it and write a blog post on this. So is Tesla's valuation justified? Should it be more or should it be less? You have to write a blog post on that, right? So you see how this is very complicated topic. There's tax against Tesla, and there's so many different things that you have also seen that can happen. The factors that exist generally, being in a corner, excess logic, and all of that, right? Then people are triggered, and there's context. So in a company, what are the things that matters? Leadership matters. Their present financials matter. Their projected financials. What are the competition? And in the future, does the growth look good? And the present financials, what it means is how they're profitable today. Is it they've not taken a lot of loans? I hope. Otherwise, I'm not investing, things like that. Then just the health of the brand. These are what generally matters for a company. What's their valuation, right? And so post is Tesla's valuation justified? And the idea is to see news and media in action. So now I'll go to some advanced concepts, right? I'll go through them fairly quickly because we're also running short on time, but they will make sense. These are very sort of obvious in the way that I'm trying to show them. You'll see what I mean. So I'm trying to make them obvious. So see, the headline was coronavirus panic is dumb. So the headline is Musk has tweeted coronavirus panic is dumb, and the articles and everything is about, headlines are about how he's being insensitive and careless, right? But if you see, what he was doing was that there was this general outcry on this, and panic is not good because and there's a lot of facts that he has stated, but that is not covered by those articles, where he says why the panic can be actually counterproductive, and he's not trying to profit off of it. He's just saying that don't be panicked because a lot of people will lose their jobs. So he's coming from the viewpoint of so many people have built these businesses. They have only savings for 2 months. If you just shut down the country in a blanket way, you're not taking care of the timings, and it's not like local. You're not seeing the local numbers. You're just saying whole country is only shutting down. Then a lot of these people will lose their jobs and businesses. So be careful. No, don't panic. So that's what he's coming from. But the headlines make him look bad. Then but these are sort of advanced things in terms of Tesla's viewpoint and the leadership, that is Elon Musk's viewpoint, right? Then there can be, he has said in the past that Tesla will be profitable from next quarter or 2 quarters down the line. But then what happened was Tesla was again going into a loss. So he told them that, see, I believe Tesla can be profitable. So they will say, headline will be, Tesla being profitable is still a pipe dream. So he's still saying that, but it's not coming true. So people are like, I cannot trust him. He doesn't know what he's doing. He says it can be profitable, but it's not. But if you look under the hood, there's so many things that are happening that have changed. And so there's some amount of loss. But overall, the health of the business has actually increased a lot. It is just that it will happen 2-3 quarters later instead of what he thought could be possible today, because new things came up or there are some more nuances. So now companies and Tesla, what they do is they say forward-looking statements, right? So they get disclaimers. They're like, these are forward-looking statements. These can change depending on the situation and all. And within that forward-looking statement, they will say that we think that we can be profitable, instead of just saying it without a disclaimer, right? So they avoid this problem then by calling it a forward-looking statement and giving these disclaimers. Then there's this headline that Tesla's chief marketing management officer, CXO or whatever, it's a finance officer, and this happened actually, has changed 3 times this year. Okay, so you read this headline, and it is true. They're actually on that site, 3 people are listed for 2018 or 2019. In that 1 year, 3 different people have been in that role. So you're like, what is this company doing? And it's not a good sign for big corporations to have senior executives changing or leaving, right? So now, and this is an example of sniping, where you take certain things and you make a headline out of them. The truth is that their turnover ratio in terms of how frequently executives leave is lower than the industry average, right? And what happened here in this situation is that a person was supposed to leave after 4 years. So let's say they decided that they leave in 2018. Okay, so they're leaving in 2018. They brought a new person. That person did not work out. Sometimes it happens that person does not work out. So 2-3 months later, they changed and brought a third person, right? And now that person is staying for is good, and he will stay for many years. So what actually happened? One person didn't work out in the middle, but it looks like they have changed it 3 times, right? So that is sniping. Then there's a headline that you can read that Tesla stock on record lows, Chanos calls it a fraud. So Jim Chanos is one of the most famous shorts, and what he does is shorts companies, and he has been successful in a lot of them, right? So what happens is when Tesla stocks decreases, Chanos comes on CNBC and all, and he says just widely that Tesla is a fraud. They're trying to take people's money and investors' money. They'll not succeed, and they also know it. So he's not just saying it will fail. He's saying they know it will fail, but they're just trying to cheat people out of money, right? And they're saying all the wrong numbers and lying blatantly about everything. So, but he only comes on CNBC when the stock is low, and CNBC only calls him when the stock is low. You know why CNBC does that? Because any Tesla news is a lot of publicity for their channel. But when Tesla stock is high, they know Chanos will not come because he will not look good. So when Tesla stock is low, they say, hey, Chanos, do you want to come? Let's talk about Tesla. He comes, right? So, and Chanos also gets publicity. And he looks good because Tesla stock is low. He has always been saying that it will fail, so he looks good. So you see how perverse incentives are playing out here. But you as a headline, right? When you see that Chanos is this reputed short seller, and you see that Tesla stock is on record lows, you will believe in that news. Then more concepts are like you read Musk's outrageous compensation plan, and that compensation plan, indeed, if you look at it, it is in terms of shares and the money also, no other CEO has that big of a compensation plan. So there's this thing, no, that employees are being paid so less, CEOs are being paid so high. This is to another level, right? But, and you can be so mad at it. How can they be so selfish? Why not help people with the money? Taxes will come down. Why not pay employees? Why do you want all of that? But the truth is, and here what is happening is this peer pressure and this societal thing, right? But if you look at the truth, and this video from Tesla Daily really points it out, the compensation plan is not at all what it looks like. So the truth is that it's completely performance based, and is based on performance milestones. So if Elon can hit those milestones, only then will he get paid that 20 milestones. For each that he does, 5% he will get of that compensation plan. So if he misses 10, he will get only 5. He will get only 50% of the 100% of the compensation plan. But if he doesn't hit all of them in the specified timeline, he will not get anything. He doesn't take any salary. He has never not taken salary for many years. He doesn't even accept the basic pay, the minimum pay rate, right?
Pranshu?
Yeah.
I understand your thing, what you're saying, but here, so he took a bet. So that is not something which the people are putting in their work and effort would take care. He is using other people's intelligence and labor to do whatever has to be done. But the goals and the graphs and everything it's a lot of factors, and we cannot just point it out.
So see, that's the thing. I agree with you, Anvesh, completely. But the thing is, it is very complicated. The idea of, why Musk, the only reason Musk is doing this is because he wants those assets, right? Because his long-term goal is to develop assets on Earth so that he can establish, basically help humanity by establish a colony on Mars. You can debate that also. Is it necessarily necessary? So
that's not the thing. No, see. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. So what I'm saying is,
even I have to go because, I just have one thing, Pranshu. You must see how Ratan Tata is doing in the same car business, and see how Tesla is doing. And this is where a person who is an achiever, how he works and how American system is different. So I think you should read much of our philosophy, our culture, our history, which will give you a lot of insight.
Yeah, sure.
You know, because sorry, I have to leave.
Yeah, no, that's okay, ma'am. So Anvesh, my idea was that if you watch this video, you'll know what I mean. It is very difficult, it is very difficult that he will get paid anything. And even he gets paid, that means he did a very good job running the company. So when you say, I agree with you that there are concerns about it, but I'm just saying it's a very complicated thing. And to look at is where he's coming from. It's not coming from the point of being greedy and increasing in net worth.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying at all. I remember when he made money from PayPal, whatever money he had, he right away invested in different companies, not like unlike other people who built a lot of things like for themselves. So he is different. That's the very reason he pulled a kind of cult status to whatever he does. Okay, I'm not denying that. But if he alone could do what he could, he would not have needed other people. And the other people are putting in. So you cannot just force somebody to do whatever he's paying to follow that. I'm sure we are digressing from what the main topic is, like testing. But for a moment I felt like you are like being a spokesperson for Elon Musk more than anything else.
Yeah, so that's why I had to I know. So that's the thing. It will feel like that unless you know what is going on, right? What I'm saying is, if you look at that compensation plan, the first thought will come to your mind is that the person who is defending it will be like that. See, my point is, I have no interest in defending him. But the only reason I agree with most of the things what is going on with Tesla and Musk is because I think it is right. Not because I just want to defend him blindly. And I get your point completely. I'll just say, just watch that video. You know what I'm talking about in terms of the headline, where you read that he will get this compensation plan versus how many details are actually involved. He's not will be paid actually for 2020.
So the incentive of the news agency is to make profit and for the TRP thing. I completely get it. They would manipulate whatever the Musk has to say, something else, so that it would create some buzz. I'm not denying that. But also, we understand once you like some person, you also keep on adding information so that that person is.
All I can tell you is that I'm trying to be careful that doesn't happen. And
so I'm curious what mental models are you using to ensure that that you don't have a blind spot like that.
Do you think we can talk about this right now? I told you very simply. There's no mental model as such. The truth is that this compensation plan, I read about the details. I found out the details. And I know Musk. The idea behind Musk's what he's doing is that he wants to establish this Mars colony. So that's the reason. And for that funding, he needs his assets and he needs sort of voice behind him, right? So based on those two things, I reached my conclusion. That's all, right? So now, if you tell me, okay, no, Musk is actually lying, or your realization of Musk's mission and what he really wants to do, you have got it wrong, or he's just lying, then that debate will never go anywhere, because I'm pretty convinced.
I'm not
saying what I mean. So I'm just saying those
have their incentives. That's what I'm saying, Pranchu. Everybody has their incentives.
All right. Like I cannot argue with you because I have nowhere to prove it. So we should just move on. That's the thing. Like, I cannot not argue and prove myself anyhow. And I'm sure there will be some bias, but I try not to do it. And the next thing is like, so Tesla misses delivery target for Q3, right? This is headline again, and it will be like yet again. But what happens with Wall Street, what the game that they play is, at the start of the year, they say in Q3, Tesla will have, let's say, 200,000 deliveries, right? But when there's Q3 and they get news from China and this and that the delivery numbers, then what they do is they shift their delivery estimates. So they say Tesla will be delivering 400,000 in Q3. So now Tesla comes in at 390,000 and they say the headlines are Tesla misses the delivery. But no one realizes the fact that Wall Street had predicted 200,000 at the start of the year. And this happens every quarter actually. The start of the quarter and the end of the quarter, they change their numbers, right? So it's just overcompensation and overfitting.
That's Wall Street, and it happens everywhere. So it's not exclusive to Tesla for sure. I know a lot of companies which are
that's not the point. No,
headlines.
Anvesh, I'm not saying it's exclusive. I'm just saying we're looking at it from one point of view so that we can go deep.
No, what I'm I understand. What I'm saying is, now that we are learning about mental models and other stuff, we would go one step deeper for sure. Like why they made the statement, what is the main goal and other stuff.
Yeah, but like that's why I said it in the start that these are the disclaimers. These cognitive bias and mental models are not out of the scope of this. Simply not possible to discover everything, right? So that's the point here. So just try to I don't know. Let's try to see what I'm talking about in terms of right now, because you're right actually, and that's why I mentioned in the disclaimer. But you can only do so much. It's a very like complicated topic, as I'm sure you can see. But yeah, so this happens with companies. But the point here is now, I'll say, Anvesh, this happens a lot with Tesla, much more than other companies, because of how much this is in the news. Because they don't do this so much in GM. They don't try to overfit. Because even if they're wrong or it doesn't meet, there'll be no news headline, no real like problems. But with Tesla, if you're on Wall Street and you're covering Tesla, right? And I know, so 24 firms on Wall Street cover Tesla. I know, and they have analysts, head analysts for Tesla. So Morgan Stanley has Adam Jonas. I know 10 of them by names. So I follow them very closely, right? And I know that this person has come on the quarterly earnings call, asked this question 3 quarters ago. So I know what I'm talking about. So the idea is, when I say that they do it to a large degree to Tesla, because if you are in that position, you don't want to be wrong. So, if you have made some estimate and it is very wrong, then people will say you are a shitty analyst. Let's move you out. So you will lose your job, right? So you try to be so sensitive with Tesla that people do this all the time, and it's much more than other companies. Though it happens everywhere. Then there's this headlines that there's Nikola Motors, the new Tesla killer, and people are like Tesla killers. If you ask these companies, they will say, no, what Tesla killer? We are just in the see, car market is 100 times bigger than Tesla, what Tesla can produce. So Tesla's mission is advancing the advent of, accelerating the advent of sustainable energy and electric vehicles and electric batteries, like that, sustainable transport and energy, right? A company on its own cannot have like 100 factories built up in 1 year. It will only have money for one factory. So Tesla actually wants, that's why it has open source all its patents. So you ask Tesla, it doesn't see these new electric car companies as competition. It sees them as allies. The competition is the 96% market share by petroleum companies. That is the real competition. So a new company comes up who's like Tesla. They also say, no, we're not Tesla killers. We're just in that same brand. There's so much room to grow. Tesla has like 1% what Tesla can do, and the 99% is open market for us, right? So, and then this guy called Trevor, what he does is very, very, very subtly, though he agrees the mission is in line with Tesla, they're not competitors. And that is true. They cannot be competitors. The market is too big, right? Competition is only there when you have something to lose. If someone else makes more money, you lose less money. It's not like that. They have 10 electric car companies, they can all make money. So what he says is, I'm not Elon Musk, don't compare me to him. But what he's doing by saying that is somewhere telling people you can actually compare me. There's some reasons to compare me, but do not compare me. So like if the person who doesn't know anything about him, but then you hear him saying don't compare me to Elon Musk, it will be like, oh, there must be something to compare, right? So that also happens. And this as a comparison by denial thing and the mission thing is another sort of headline thing that is an advanced concept in the discussion of fake news and misinformation and all. Then last thing is Elon Musk actually called a lifeguard as a pedo. He apologized. He deleted the tweet. And yes, he should have done that. And he agrees. He says, in fact, he has said a lot of times that a lot of tweets he shouldn't have tweeted, not because they were wrong, even to someone else, hurtful, just because they were not a good idea, or he should be more careful with his words. But he says on the net and the balance, Twitter has been working out good, and the good that Twitter has done, and the way he's using it, it's mostly good. And he agrees with that. And there's a court case for this. This guy put a court case on him for defamation charges and all. And the truth is that like he also instigated him and all. But that's no justification. And the Elon Musk won the court case. So now again, people will say like he's a billionaire and he won the court case and all. But like justice system is still like careful about these things. Like, the point is, I'm not defending him, but the point is, you just read this headline, but you miss the context behind it, what was happening, because he was trying to help these this Thailand, there was a cave and people were trapped there, and he was trying to help them. And he said, oh, you're doing this for publicity, and he was hurling insults at him. but he was like a life coach for like lifeguard, swim lifeguard. So he just called him a pedo because he was like, you're trying to save these children, or you love these children, right? So you're a pedo. But he then apologized. And so the point is that it can be very messy. So, and then the sensationalization thing from the media, right? But they will not cover the court case, they'll not cover the apology, and they'll not cover the fact that Musk has accepted a lot of times that he doesn't use Twitter in the right way, and he sort of oversteps. But that, so you have to just keep everything in the light, and these headlines can look very enticing, but they can be very troubling. So I'll just move through this last part very quickly. And the idea is and I have these playlists at the end that I've made on YouTube. If you guys want to look at sort of fake news, misinformation, disinformation, there are 8-10 videos, both industry people, academics, and other people are there. Like, TED Ed, there's one video from TED Ed. So just to give you somewhere to start in terms of the research or different perspectives on this. And there's this, but this last part. Hello?
No, nothing. Yeah, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, so I just cover this next part quickly. We don't have time for this, like a lot of discussion. So I'm not going to detail here at all. But if you have to value Tesla at 2030 from first principles, so like you are not following anyone's else estimates. You're just, I have a blank sheet of paper. I have to look at how to value Tesla. So you'll see the components, revenues, what are the assets and loans, what is the future productive revenue growth, what is the profitability growth, will it last or will it fail in 5 years? So how long will the growth last? How long will the company last? I hope it doesn't fail by 2030. And there's this price earnings ratio for industry. So like what it means is that, let's say you have a shop and you sell 2 lakh worth of things every year. And then you have to sell that whole shop to someone. Then you just don't sell it for 2 lakhs. No, because you will be like, this is a money making machine, this shop and this business. So you will earn 2 lakhs, the next year 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs. So if I give you this shop, I've put so much money in the past. It is making 2 lakhs every year. I have this revenue and this inventory of all the products in the shop. So it will be like, give me 20 lakhs because that is the value of my business. Then I'll sell you my business. But the business can only make 2 lakhs per year in profits or revenue or whatever, So the earnings are the revenue. So that is 2 lakhs per year. So you will say, I sell it in 20 lakhs. So the price by earnings ratio will be 10. Because for earnings of 2 lakhs per year, you're selling at 20 lakhs per year. Right? Because that is the value of your business. So you can see in tech companies or in auto companies. So let's say there's Volkswagen and it sells 100 billion revenue cars per year. Right? So the P ratio is 0.4 because its value is 25 billion. So the price is 0.25 billion. The reason is that it has a lot of loans and all. So auto industry, the P ratio is less than 1 only generally, right? But for tech industries, it is 30. Now Tesla the business model is neither an auto thing nor a tech thing. And their P ratio currently, right, is around 7. So it's not 0.4, it's not 30 like this. But some people are like, it is more a tech company, so it should be 10. Some people are like, it's more an auto company, so the P ratio should be 4. So where in that line is the actual ratio? So I could have walked you through it, which I will not do right now. But if you guess something, so currently it is $1,000 per share for a $185 billion valuation. And in 2030, if you have to make a best guess, so so there's so many different factors. There's autonomy, there's battery, and there is new product lines like Cybertruck and HVAC systems, and then there is also like marginal revenues from the new vehicles and how many factories they'll build, their operational cost they'll save by expanding into new continents, what the growth rate will be it be the same? There's so many factors, but there's this one guy who tried to do it in one page, right? So he just said, this is not investment advice. Tesla, could it be 75,000 per share? So currently, remember, it's 1,000 per share, right? So he said vehicle sale per year. And it is also for 2030, by the way, this page that he has made. So 20 million units. So actually, Elon Musk and everyone has been asked, what the growth rate do you see in terms of deliveries? So they all say it's like minimum 40% per year, and they've been growing in that rate for 15 years straight. And they say 50% actually, it's 55%. but they say we'll minimum maintain 40% even in the worst case. And that 40% growth will mean 20 million units in 2030. And for every car, they have approximately 10,000 profit. So that means 200 billion a year in profits, right? Then the robo taxi is that autonomous taxi, so you don't have to have a driver. The car can drive itself, and you can argue it is 1 year away, 2 years away, but by 2030 it will definitely be there, right? And you can still debate it, but I would say just go with it. So 15 million cars owned by Tesla that they're operating a robo taxi, and 40,000 into 40K profit per year for Tesla. So this was again a number that was that has been discussed a lot. So the idea is that you earn like this much money per mile, and then even in the worst case from a robo taxi, because of the economics, every robo taxi can give you 40K per year profit in year, right? And if Tesla owns 15 million, then that's 6 billion per year in profit, right? Then 800 billion per year in profit just from these two things into 30 price earnings ratio, which is for a tech company, that will be 24 trillion. And then they're just divided by the approximately number of shares. So currently is 185 billion. They generally increase a little bit due to dilution. So let's say that 240 million shares in 2030. So that means 24 trillion by 24 million shares is 1000K per share. And currently he's saying it can be at least 75,000. So currently it is 1,000, and 10 years later it will be 75,000. So I have a ton of Tesla and my stock is not for sale, right? So this is just a small microcosm of what you say when we value a company. So you can argue about this number, this number, this number, but these are actually very sensible numbers and have a lot of safety margin, right? And this 30 PE for a company is growing by more than 40%, 50% per year with that kind of growth. It basically is like a tech company thing. And in that, everyone has 30, 40. Google has like 60 PE ratio, right? So it will not be outrageous. So it's actually, and he still has so many, giving them the benefit of the doubt. So 100K per share, but he's still saying 75K. So the idea is not investment advice, but you should just think about things and you read news, and then you can actually come up with all of this on your own and do it in one page. But if you read Wall Street's estimates, even the most optimistic one, right, values Tesla at less than $1 trillion, around $600 billion. So do you see, like, even the most optimistic? So do you see the gulf in that? And it is frankly head scratching, and that's why it said that people don't know, because it's a new kind of business, how to value it, and Wall Street is always confused on how to really value it. And that's also why it was a good example to give. So yeah, so have this playlist, you can have book discussions, and most important thing is to just think. And the exercises that we did, how close you are to trusting something, the levels and all, right? So I'll just stop here, and yeah, I took around 15 minutes extra, sorry about that. And yeah, any comments or any questions? And I know, Anvesh, you have a lot of concerns about it, and I can feel you, but it's just a very complicated subject. That's the thing. And yeah, I'm also just a normal person.
Sure. When you say complicated,
yeah,
who do you think it's complicated for?
I'm saying the topics are complicated. So
for
simple.
who?
No, I'm saying in themselves. So there's some simple topics. So
those no topic is complicated in themselves. It's based on the person who's learning something, right? Now, when you say it's complicated, but
wouldn't you say addition is a simple mathematical concept, but differential equation is a tough mathematical concept? So in terms of the ability of people, because there'll be so less people who will have the skills and ability and patience to learn differential equation, because it takes time and there's a lot of other stuff, the calculus and all, to learn differential equation. So as a topic to learn, that is tougher than just addition, even though they're both maths. So when I say some topics are inherently tougher, that's what I mean. So for like Tesla is an inherently difficult company.
One second. So
yeah.
I'm repeating again, there's no topic that's inherently complicated. It's dependent on the person who is learning that. Okay.
Yeah.
And at the time and whatever space in which that they're learning. Okay. So when you say complicated, you can say it's complicated to me. That's a better way to present a topic. That's all I'm trying to say. There's no point in arguing whether a complicated topic is complicated or not. Okay.
Yeah, no, but would you agree that some topics are more complex than others?
Think about your cousins. Okay. Yeah. Or like whatever. Like my sister's kid, she's like 6 years old, and she does Fourier transform better than I do now. Okay, she understands that, right? So when you say the topic is not complicated because like your knowledge is a additive stuff, right? Like as humanity, we find better ways to explain things.
Right.
So when you explain it in a visual way, right? Like you look at Khan Academy wasn't there when I was studying, right? So for me, visualizing Fourier transform was difficult, but now kids are learning that, right? It's second nature to them. Not even kids, like you can like there's reason behind that. IQ level is increasing, yada yada yada. Right? The point is the topic is not complicated, right? Like it's an output of a person. That's it. It's a product.
Yeah. So can you put it in this way that for topics, there's some topics which a lot of people have the ability to understand and comprehend and get to the truth. But there are topics where
the point is not about that. The point is there's a better way to teach things, right? So when you say it's complicated, you're pushing your audience away. You get my point?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Okay, I will not say that, but would you agree with this fact that another way to say this is there's certain topics where only few people it is within their you can say like immediate reach, and it will find it sort of easier, and the largest percentage of society that will find it sort of tougher to come to grasp to, like Fourier transform. Does that make sense? Because I do think that there's like, you can maybe not complicated, but complexity level is certainly there. So like Fourier transforms, that kid will not find complicated. So that topic inherently is not complicated.
Do you want to become a good teacher or not?
Yeah. But I can't just say something without believing in it. So like I do believe that there's things like all things topics are not
to use. It's a little bit of humility from your end. I don't know why you're failing to understand that. It's a very good value to have, right?
Okay, all right.
Humility, right? Say, I don't know, maybe you'll get it better. As far as I'm concerned, this is a complex topic, but let me try to break it down to as simple as possible. That's it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's complex. You have to break it down, and it takes work. More work. Yeah. So that's the thing. And so you know, this session was very difficult to form. You know, because first there was context of as a soft skill. So you have to think of it as you have to write a blog post.
The examples were really good. But what I felt was a little complex was, you know, even Josephine had written that she's not able to visualize that, right? Because when you're giving 3-4 things, maybe you didn't find time, so that's why you were not able to put it on a deck. But if you could have like put some boxes and said this is level 1, level 2, level 3. Now you remove 1, remove 2, remove 3 means you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I got it.
So other than that, I understand it's very difficult to put it together, but like a lot more on Tesla can be reduced because again, understanding your audience is important. Maybe you thought like, hey, I'll just get the recording done and then I want to like do something with that. Then maybe you did a great job. Okay.
No. The idea was
like it's totally not relevant to our target audience, right? So it becomes like you have to first educate people about Elon Musk, then Tesla, and then like PE. Wow.
No. So see, I think so. You know, that's why I said in the start that the idea was to give you a broad perspective of different kinds of things, and then go deep into one thing. Because oftentimes, if you're not going deep to a subject, you'll not understand the complexities. Because
the subject is okay. So first of all, time is there, right? So there's time.
So you have to say time. Here, the idea was that it is still news consumption only. So I gave headlines, right? And then I showed them that there are some advanced concepts like erring on the side of value and disclaimers. Some companies use this, sniping, perverse incentives, so that under one subject only they can see this, and it is actually easier to do this than talking about different things. Do you see? But everything is like headline based, so it can be any other headline also. And this concept here, the disclaimer fact or sniping, you can use it when reading any other article. So for, so that was a purpose. So deep down, if you dive down deep, then these advanced things will be easier, and you will also be able to actually appreciate how tough it can be to have a right mindset about, like, right viewpoint. So that's why I went with Tesla, because I knew about it. But the first half I just talked about different things, and second half I talked about one topic. So do you see why I talked about it? I thought it was a good idea to stick to one topic.
No. Good idea to stick to one topic, but the concepts are not covered. We are going deeper into numbers of Tesla, right? But if you say, okay, this is coming from this person, I trust that because he did this. See, then you're tying it to whether that number what he has put on that paper makes sense or not. You're going into the nitty-gritties of valuation now, right? Which is one factor in identifying good information, but also the other big factor is from whom it's coming from, right? And why do you trust that person? So we are essentially then showing your mental model of how are you judging that this information is right? Rather than like getting into a finance level thing of, Ashwin Damodaran level valuation stuff is going on.
Exactly.
So your point is I should have I should have gone into valuation and not the opinions of the news. Like, what exactly?
No, as in the point is, so you gave few concepts in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So that concept should be tied to Tesla, whatever you're talking about, not the nitty-gritties of what is being shown. Okay, so what I'm saying is, when you put that valuation up, why is Pranshu Agarwal trusting this valuation? Because it comes from this person. Okay, right. So that trust level is high over there. Then the numbers looks like it makes sense because traditionally you measure it like this, and now this guy is doing. That's it. We have to stop at that level. Don't go into P and blah blah blah.
Okay.
Get what I'm saying? Right?
So see, the way I thought about it, right, was that I will just talk about some basic concepts in general examples. Have you guys recognize some obviously wrong things, like the 9 months ahead when she says that we'll have 2 babies, and then use those same 10 things in context of Tesla to show out the stuff to know what to trust and not. Then I'll go over the stacks against Tesla in terms of the different levels of the different lenses and all, and then go into advanced concepts from that viewpoint, and then finally value it, and then see how different it was from Wall Street and like first principles. So that's how I created it. But yeah, like the thing is, I also wanted it to do it in 2 or 3 different ways, but I was like, which way to do it, So it was very
thank you, Bhavna. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, Bhavna.
Wait, Bhavna, feedback. Bhavna and Josephine, definitely we need feedback.
Sure. Yeah, I'll message them.
Bhavna, thank you.
So like I thought, if your valuation thing, you're doing it.
Okay, man. Fuck, we should have stopped this a little while ago.